are your thoughts about electronic voting? You first of all said that our voters need to be cleared up.
What I did say is, I mean, there are things that have to be in place, and one of them is the voters register. And I think Mr. Oluwole from Abuja also has accepted that there's still things that have to be done. So let's take it that we're not yet ready, at least in 2015, for electronic voting. Your Twitter person has talked about power and all. We all recall the problems we had, even with the data machines that we had when we were registering, and the batteries kept, breaking down and all. So these are things that have to be put in place properly. For me, I don't think we need to belabor the point. I'm not sure that, I don't think 2015 is for electronic voting.
That should be struck out. And
yeah, no, not for 2015.
Not for 2015.
No, 2015 is next year.
I mean, we are in an age where electronic is the order of the day. Technology is the order of the day.
Yes, but you've got to carry people along. And people have to believe in what you are putting in place. We're not going to get that done. I mean, he's in charge of voter education. I have to believe in what you want to give to me.
You've been on the field as a politician,
yes.
and you ran. I mean,
yes.
you ran for
yes.
governor in
yes.
Lagos State,
yes.
and you understand from the grassroots point of view, what can we do so that this electronic voting, it's worked well in some other climes?
Look, I mean, we're still in a situation where people believe that when it's time for registration, for voter registration, they believe that they have to pile up the names in the register. And they still continue to do that. In other words, you saw even the last, I think before you have people who just believe that once it's time for registration, you had in Ekiti recently, people just go and you have multiple names. It is still because they believe that they can get away with it. But you got to believe and accept that there's a system in place that catches you for multiple registration. And for as long as you don't bring people out and charge them for multiple registration, people will continue to do it. And so that's why I'm saying that you've got to get rid of that first. People must believe in what you want to bring. People will be scared of electronic voting, the generality of the people. And I just don't think that we can get this done before. And we're talking of 2015. We're talking of less than a year away. Elections come up in February next year. So I'm not sure it's on.
Interesting. Talking about catching people and laws, wading in on offenses in this manner. Let me come to you, Mr. Oluwole. I know that INEC has asked for special courts for electoral offenses. What exactly are we looking at when it comes to this issue? Why do we need a special court to prosecute electoral offenders?
Well, we're more specific about an election offenses tribunal, yes, but more specific about the commission. A commission to investigate, that has powers to arrest, that has powers to investigate, and has powers to prosecute. It may be the regular court or it may be in a special tribunal. But what we're saying is that you need a body that is charged with that responsibility, that is well-funded, and that can discharge that responsibility. We've just finished an election in Anambra. Almost 100,000 people, 90-something thousand people were multiple registrants. If INEC was to pursue that, then they probably will not have conducted the election in Anambra, because that would be a full-time thing. So we think that a commission will be better suited, a separate, distinct body will be better suited to pursue that angle of the electoral process. It can be before regular court or it can be before a special election offenses tribunal if you want to hasten the justice of such offenses.
I mean, there must be something fundamentally wrong with what we have in at the moment, reason why you are asking for this. What exactly do you think is wrong with the current state of things, the system that we are having, and the reason why INEC is asking for a new system, a special commission or special court or thereabouts that you're talking about?
Well, it's not just INEC asking for it. Several bodies, including the Oways panel, actually suggested, and it actually drafted bills which were presented before the last session of the National Assembly. Unfortunately and regrettably, that was not passed. It is, I think most Nigerians who are interested in the process know that there are serious problems with the existing structure. And I've just explained to you that, look, the one body has the power to arrest and investigate, and another body has the power to prosecute. And INEC is saddled with so many other responsibilities, the main task of conducting the election. It cannot be conducting elections and prosecuting hundreds of thousands of electoral offenders at the same time. The resources are not there, the technical know-how is not there, the capacity is not there. So you probably have to, it's better to establish a separate body that will deal with this. That is what is wrong with the present system. If you don't give us powers to arrest, if you don't give us powers to investigate, how then can we manage and control the prosecution?
I mean, it's interesting you pointed out the burden on INEC as a commission in the conduct of elections. I mean, and if one looks at it critically, a major problem for INEC is the issue of logistics. Do you need a special law to make sure that you overcome this logistics issue?
No, I don't think you need a special law for that. We are always reviewing and adjusting the procedures and the processes. We have established racks, for example, which are centers near the polling units, which has a cluster of polling units, such that materials will leave the state office or the central bank, wherever it's stored, and go to the local government office. And from the local government office, it will go closer to the people. This has worked very well in recent elections. I would think it can work much, much better in the future elections. So there are racks, centers, there are super racks, where clusters of polling units, materials, and men and officials will be taken to these units on the eve of the election, such that at 7:30, they should be at every polling station. You don't need any special provision in the law for that. In any case, I think in Section 123 of the existing law makes it an offense for people any poll official to be late in his polling station or to show dereliction of duty. That is a criminal offense which already exists in Section 123 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. We think the existing provisions are adequate for that purpose.
Interesting. But if we look at some of the elections that we've had in the past, we see even there were just a state in those elections, we see the issue of logistics problems. And when we want to understand what INEC is doing readily to make sure that we mitigate against the issue of logistics, late arrival of material. But most Nigerians don't know what you mean by racks. If you can explain and answer this question also.
Yes. First of all, it's not correct that in Anambra there was generally late arrival of materials. In one particular local government, I think Anambra has 21. Out of 21, in one, Idemili North, there was a problem. And it was not really a question of late arrivals. There was a mix-up in the results sheets. And rightly, we said we cannot conduct that election until we find those customized result sheets for the particular locality, for the particular local government. So it's only one out of 21 in Anambra. It was not exactly a widespread. It was blown up, fair enough, but it was one local government. Now, the racks, I said earlier, is a center, usually a public school, where poll officials and materials are taken on the eve of the election. They must be at that center latest 9 p.m. on the eve of the election. And they start sorting out the materials, such that it will serve a cluster, probably 10 or 12 or 8, depending on the size and number of registered voters within that cluster of polling units. So it is from this point, not the local government headquarters of the commission, it is from this point that the poll officials will go with their materials on election day. If they start sharing materials at 5 a.m., there's no reason why at about 7:30 they cannot be at the polling unit. We think this will resolve this perennial issue of the logistic challenges that we encounter, we've encountered in the past.